Welcome back to my channel, sports fans. Okay, let's get into this right here. I gotta tell you guys, this has to be the end of the world, end of times. The world is going crazy. The world is going crazy. And you know, when you come to this channel, for not only the truth, the complete truth, and nothing but the truth. And why is that? Because we're not monetized. And why is that? Because we want to tell the truth. Let's talk about this. The in-season tournament disaster. Caitlyn Clark. Wow, some Caitlyn Clark news on my channel. It's rare, but we just had to talk about this, you know. I told you guys, I really won't talk about this woman too much and all her fame and all this stuff. And until she starts winning championships, I really don't want to hear nothing. Of course, she's a great player. She was a great player in college, but she lost back-to-back championships in college, folks. She lost them, and she choked it down in that second half. In her last championship, her last year in school, they shut her down, folks. They basically shut her down, and her team didn't do her any justice, because if you're the one that's always doing all the work, you just turn into another LeBron James, right? Shut down LeBron James, and your team is pretty much defenseless. Okay, because you can't win that way. We get into what she said. Karl-Anthony Towns, I did a video on him not too long ago, and he didn't do anything per se, but something was said about him, and it's just a laugher, right? And Joel Emiibid, oh my God, he got touched in the face. Now he's out indefinitely after he just came back, folks. He just came back, and if I'm not mistaken, I remember Scottie Pippen playing with a damn knot on his head. A big old knot on his head. And he got back up and played. Now, he learned his lesson, because when the bad boy Pistons put an elbow to him, I think, what was that, in the 90 playoffs or the 89? I forget which year that was. And Pippen went out. But the last time he got hit in the face that I remember, he had that big old knot on his head. He kept playing. So there's no excuse for Joel Embiid. So let's talk about the in-season tournament. It's basically been a disaster, and it can be saved. It can be saved a little bit to being a complete disaster. I don't know. I guess they can make some progress in the championship game, you know, because you got two good teams, or what you call good teams, right? Okay, who is it? OKC, and you have the Bucks. We'll see what happened. OKC the other night shot 1,000,000 threes. They shot like 30 threes in the first half or something like that. It was ridiculous. And I was watching when I got home. I think it was Friday, right? I was watching the Bucks. I think they're playing Atlanta, and if I'm not mistaken, it's in Vegas. And what's so crazy about this is I'm looking at the audience, but there's no audience, because the NBA, as dumb as they are, had the game at what time? 4:30. So I guess, is that West Coast time? So that would be like 1:30 or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. The NBA. Oh my God. So you're not selling the tickets. You're not getting the viewership. The game sucks. I mean, what are you doing? Why would you start it that early on the West Coast like that if you know, guess what? Nobody is going to be at the game. Basically a daytime game, which is a championship game. Well, East championship game. I don't know what you call this tournament. Because you don't get, you don't, do you win a title, like a banner for winning the East? No, you don't? Well, what do you get? I mean, I'm still trying to figure this out, man, because even college, right, when they have this tournament, the seeding is based on what you did during the year. Okay, and this tournament is based on some lottery balls. It makes no sense at all. Okay, if you want to make a tournament, which is kind of like a playoff, but it's a one-game playoff. What I just don't understand what other sport has a tournament like this, where their seeding is like lottery balls. I told you before, what you did last season, that should be your seeding, right? So if you won the championship, no, my fault. Going into the playoffs. So if you was the number 1 seed going into the playoffs the prior year, that's where you're seeded, the East and West. If you was number 2, that's where you was, East and West, and so on and so on. You was a 3 seed, 4 seed. So the 1 seed will play what, the 8 seed or something like that in the in-season tournament. The 2 will play the 7, and so on and so on. That's how you do it, folks. It will be more exciting, not lottery balls, and not put guys in the championship that don't deserve it. And these guys are just now starting the season, so they're not really into this. They're not really into this. But if you give them their seeding from the prior playoff year, it would be better for the NBA. But Adam Silver, he's not running this league, folks. Somebody else is running this league. Maybe the people in Europe or something like that. Maybe they're running this. Where's the owners at, folks? Where's the owners in all this? I don't understand. Where's the owners? They're not against all this 3-point shooting. They're not against this gimmick game. Remember, you have all these different playoffs. Basically, you have the in-season tournament, right? And then you have the play-in, and then you have the playoffs. That's 3. And now you're going to have some kind of a playoffs or tournament in the All-Star game. So you basically have 4 playoff games in one season in the NBA, folks. I don't know what to say about this, man. It's just, the NBA is finished, man. So let's talk about Caitlyn Clark. Caitlyn Clark, we talked about her a little bit, but now she has come out the woodworks, and she's saying stupid stuff that makes no sense. She kind of, a lot of Republicans like her, a lot of, because she's from, I don't know where she's from, but she plays for Indiana. She played for Iowa. I don't know if that was her hometown or whatever like that. So, these people are basically Republicans, right? And she came out during the election year and said she's basically a Democrat. She's basically a Democrat. And why wouldn't she? Why wouldn't she? And any day now, she's going to pull up with her girlfriend. It's just it's just a matter of time how many WNBA players actually have a boyfriend. Okay? How many of them are really transgenders? We don't know that. I mean, I could speculate, but I don't feel like fighting with nobody. But my eyes tell me a lot, man. I know what women look like. I know what transgenders look like. And I know what men look like. And something ain't right, folks. These WNBA players are built bigger than NBA players, folks. Just saying. But yeah, she's going to pull up with her girlfriend any day now. So why wouldn't she actually vote Democrat when the majority of the WNBA is gay? And these people are Democrats, because Democrats, they're for the gay community. I have nothing against it. I'm fine with it. They can do what they want to do. I mean, I'm not the one playing God. The government is. The government is the one that tells them what they can't do. Okay. So now she's saying that LeBron James is the GOAT. Well, that's fine. But she really didn't give no real reason except for his greatness and his pedigree and his this and that and that and this of what she thinks. Now, when we talk about leaders, winners, clutch players, dominance, LeBron James is not in that class. But when we talk about losers, floppers, whiners, not being a leader, not clutch, what do you call them people? Gypsies? They just go town to town? LeBron doesn't have it, Caitlyn Clark. He can't shoot free throws. He can't shoot the mid-range. He can't shoot the 3. He can't give you no paint work. He's not a good passer. If you average 7 assists and you're like at 3.5 turnovers a game, I wouldn't consider you a great or upper echelon passer. What we call great or upper echelon, great is like 8 to 9 assists a game. Upper echelon is 10 assists plus. 7 is good. But when we couple that with 3.5 turnovers, it's not that good. A poor rebounder, 7 rebounds a game. Folks, that's a joke. In the softest, weakest era, this guy should be double digits, 12 rebounds a game like it ain't nothing. Charles Barkley was like 6'3", 6'4", and gave you 10. Karl Malone gave you like 10 plus. Jason Kidd gave you 7. And he was a point guard. Okay, I think Clyde Drexler gave you like 6 or 7. I mean, what are we talking about? And we're talking about eras where most of these guys play with against real power forwards and real centers. They were getting these rebounds. Where's LeBron James? Poor offensive rebounder. We're just trying to find out bunny hops team to team. Gets coaches fired. Traded teammates. The most trades in NBA history. I mean, what is it, Caitlyn Clark? Can you really come up with something that means something? And I know, she's trying to help out because, the WNBA is on welfare. It's on assistance. Section 8, WIC, food stamps, government cheese. They never turn a profit. So we got to think that these women in the WNBA are basically getting paid from an NBA write-off. So the NBA is so-called or allegedly paying the WNBA players and writing them off. That's the only thing we can think of, folks. They're a tax write-off. That's all they are. So Caitlyn Clark, you play in a league that doesn't turn a profit. Okay, in a league that women cry about they need more money, and basically the league ain't making no money. You play in a league where in the 2000s, in the 2010s, the competition was way better. It was way better. Go back and look up some of those names, Caitlyn Clark. The competition was way better. But we know that LeBron James endorsed Caitlyn Clark through all her little drama that she was going through at the beginning of the season. And he basically was like, leave her alone, man. Leave her alone, man. They pick on me all the time, man. I know how you feel, Caitlyn. You doing all them turnovers. I do the same thing, man. And one day you gonna be able to shoot again and hit all them shots. And I thought I could, but I eventually I just had to face the fact that I couldn't shoot. So she did come on strong later on in the season. I don't think she made the playoffs, did she? I don't remember that. They didn't pick her on the Olympic team. They snubbed her. And they didn't need her anyway. They just dominated without her. Even though, the gold medal game was real close. So the world is catching up to them, but the women's team still won. And she's endorsing LeBron James. I mean, she thinks he's the GOAT. She just made a fool out of herself because we could just look at his resume and he's not even a top 10 player. He's not better than Duncan. When we're talking about positional skills, what positional skills does he possess? Poor rebounder. Is he good at free throws? Nope. What about the mid-range? He good at the mid-range. Good passer. I tell you, ain't great. Ain't upper echelon. What about three? Nope. I think we talked about the mid-range. So, I mean, he can't give you no paint work like Karl Malone or Charles Barkley or, some of these other great forwards. He's not really a great slasher like a James Worthy. I won't consider him that. Bull charge in the lane with a straight arm to somebody's face, neck, chest, stomach, and elbow, and I wouldn't consider that a real slasher. So we just let her have her opinion. She's trying to, suck up to the NBA because they're getting these welfare checks, but she's got to realize LeBron James' career is over. He's 22 seasons into it, and you can't change the past. He failed. Kobe Bryant, we made a video earlier. Kobe Bryant pretty much ended the whole GOAT debate. He went to 3 straight finals. No, he won gold they couldn't even win gold in the FIBA or the Olympics, the LeBron James era, right? The Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh and LeBron James and all the Carmelo Anthony couldn't even win gold in the FIBA or the Olympics. Well, insert Kobe, bring home gold in the FIBA 2007, bring home gold in the Olympics 2008. Kobe goes to the finals in 2008 finally with an all-star teammate. He doesn't win, but the next year he goes back to the finals, beats LeBron's teams that beat him, which was Orlando Magic, while LeBron had the number 1 seed in the entire playoffs in the MVP. Then goes back to the finals again and beats 3 top 75 players, wins back-to-back against LeBron's opponent, who was the number 4 seed this time, the big bad Celtics. And that was pretty much it. That was it. End of the GOAT debate for LeBron James. I mean, he won it without Shaq. And did Shaq ever go to 3 straight finals without Kobe Bryant? Nope. No, he didn't. Did Shaq ever win back-to-back championships against 3 top 75 players? Nope. It was over, folks. And then LeBron went and built his super team in case he had to run into Kobe Bryant again, humiliated himself, and then lost again. And we told you in the last video, Kobe Bryant, Dirk Nowitzki, and Tim Duncan was the last of the Mohicans. And it was only fitting that they did this on LeBron James, right? Kobe won back-to-back championships, beating LeBron's teams because LeBron didn't want to show up because we know now that he was scared to face Kobe because he would have no GOAT debate after that. Then he gets beat by Dirk Nowitzki. Dirk Nowitzki beats his super team. And then Tim Duncan basically blew him out in 2 finals. So LeBron James, it was the 2000s up to 2014 was a thing. You can run, but you can't hide. You can run, but you can't hide. You can run away from Kobe and don't want to show up. You can go build your super team and you get knocked around and you get humiliated against Dirk Nowitzki and Tim Duncan. Oh, Tim Duncan won a championship without a super team. As LeBron? Nope. Well, it's a lot of guys, right? Tim Duncan did. That wasn't a super team with Manu Ginobili and who was that? Parker? That wasn't no super team. Those guys came from the draft. Curry won 2 championships without a super team. Who else? Giannis won a championship without a super team. Who else? Choker. And we don't know who's going to win this year, but all these guys is winning championships without Kobe Bryant, without a super team, won back-to-back. Who else in the LeBron era? I think it wasn't it Detroit? One without a super team in the LeBron. I think he was there. Even though you can't really hold it against him, he was still young. But that's something Nick Wright would do, right? Let's move on. We just had to show Caitlyn Clark or tell her about NBA history since she doesn't know, right? She thinks LeBron's the GOAT, but suddenly she forgets about his career. It never existed, right? As far as anything bad, it's just, the stat line, 27, 7, and 7 that can't win you no damn statistical titles. And never has won a championship as a leader. We talked about that. How about that, Caitlyn Clark? If you're just a number 1 amongst the other number 1s, you didn't lead the team to a championship. Especially if you left your home. You left your home. You left your home in Cleveland to go to Miami. How you lead the team to a championship with other number 1s? You left your home and came back to Cleveland, and guess what? That was Kyrie's home. So you came to play with 2 other number 1s. So you never led a team to a championship there. You were just one of the number 1s, and then you went to LA. And yeah, you were there before AD and Howard, but we weren't considered that your home, right? You were just a gypsy that went there, and they were number 1s, 2 of other franchises, number 1 franchise players of other teams. And AD was in his prime. And say whatever you want about Howard, but he came in the league way after LeBron James. So what are we talking about? He's younger than LeBron James. So that's just a little bit of history for Caitlyn Clark, since she doesn't know NBA history. Maybe she needed a little bit of money from Unclutch Sports, right? The company that we're supposed to believe Rich Paul was homeless or hustling jerseys out the back of his trunk at an airport, and LeBron took notice and became best friends with a guy like this and gave him a call back just because he was and then became a billionaire with Clutch Sports that he started up, had no experience right in this field, didn't go to school for accounting, anything professional, a sports agent. Well, I mean, where did he get this money, and where did he get the trust to start this company? A dude that was selling jerseys out the back of, y'all really want us to believe this? This is crazy. This is crazy. Come on, man. Let's you a lot of people, you can tell them anything and they believe it, man. This is crazy. This dude is dating Adele, and this guy was homeless selling jerseys out the back of his trunk and became LeBron's right-hand man. Wow. LeBron don't own this company, right? Maybe it's in his mama's name or in his cousin's name, and who knows, folks. So Karl-Anthony Towns, we were told by Fat Joe that Karl-Anthony Towns is the greatest offensive player of all time, folks. Better than Hakeem, better than Kareem, better than Shaq, better than Will. The greatest offensive player in the softest, easiest, no defensive era of all time. The greatest offensive center. They talk about you, Joel Embiid. Wow. The guy who only has 3 All-NBA third teams. Not second teams, not first teams, third teams. Like 3 of them. Are you serious? So he's not even the greatest center of his own era. He's not better than Joel Embiid. He's not better than Joker. He's not better than AD. All those guys. I'm surprised he even made. Well, a lot of them guys might have been hurt that year. That's probably why he made it. Those times he did. He's been in the league since 2015. I think he only has like 4 All-Star appearances. I mean, this is this NBA, right? People just come out of the woodworks and say the dumbest stuff that makes no sense. I mean, and it just coincides with this era. You know, the analysts, the Stephen A. Smiths, the Nick Rice, the Chris Broussards, all these dummies that say all this dumb stuff that makes absolutely no sense. And for the fan base that's really fans of this era, they're really calling you idiots. That's what they're calling you. When they make statements like this, they're calling you idiots, and you're unable, right, to even use one brain cell. You don't have to use 2 to figure this out. You only have to have one brain cell functioning to figure out that they're calling you idiots. The greatest offensive center of all time. Fat Joe says stuff about nobody can stop him. They know what he's gonna do, but they can't stop him. They stop nobody in this era. Anybody can do what they want to do. Look what Joker doing. Joker said, man, this thing is a joke. Let me take this thing to the next level. Let me take this thing to the next level and cement my name in the NBA record books. Now, you guys know how I feel about Joker. I don't have him as a top 5 center of all time, or nothing even close. But you got to give the man credit for seeing what's in front of him, which is nothing, and going completely smack off, right? Unlike other players like Anthony Edwards, who don't see what's in front of them, but they had the nerve to compare this guy to Michael Jordan, and he can't even give you 36 and 6 in this soft, weak era and get you 2 steals. But they want to compare this guy to Michael Jordan? This guy can't even finish at the rim this year. Against nobody. He keeps bricking and missing and doing all this crazy stuff at the rim. And he screams too, like somebody put something in his butt or something like that. That's what these guys do. I don't know what's wrong with these guys. All this screaming and hollering and what? Karl-Anthony Towns, man. No statistical titles. And I know Fat Joe didn't say he was a great defender, but this guy is a center and he hasn't made one defensive team. What are these guys doing, man? What? In this era, all you have to do is act like you're playing defense. Accidentally playing defense on an accident, and you're going to make a defensive team. That's it. It's not hard to make a defensive team in this era. Rudy Gobert is telling us that Rudy Gobert acts like he's playing defense. He's not a good defender. He doesn't play good defense, but what he does, he acts like he's playing defense. And they call that a great defender in this era. When you acting like you just, hey ref, hey everybody, look, I'm acting. Look at me, I'm acting. I'm gonna make this defensive team. Look at me, I'm acting. All you gotta do is play the part. You ain't gotta be no skilled defender. Something a lot of these guys ain't figured out yet. Your Anthony Edwards, your Devin Bookers, your Currys. Who else? A lot of these guys never made the Kevin Durant, Jason Tatum. It's like, what? Oh, you got a lot of role players just making defensive teams these days. Dudes coming off the bench. It's crazy. That just shows you, man, what's going on with these guys. These are one-way players who only put their effort towards offense. And it's not even a great offensive game. It's just shooting threes. That's all it is. See, if a great player didn't make the defensive team back in the day, you would look and say, well, who's on this defensive team? Okay. I can see that. Magic Johnson, he got 2 steals titles. Oh, and then you look and see who was in front. Oh, woof, I know why he didn't make it now. Maybe Charles Barkley didn't make the defensive team. You look at who made it that year. Woof, them all-time greats right there, bro. Yeah, okay, I can see that. I can see. And Charles Barkley was undersized for his position. That's why he couldn't make a defensive team. Really, not because he wasn't a good defender. He wasn't a great defender, but he still gave the effort, right? And back then, you had to have your best defenders on the court. And I tell you guys all the time, Kerr, he was a better shooter than Ron Harper. Way better shooter. But guess what? Ron Harper was a better defender, right? So you can offset that because you want these guys to earn their points, right? You want your opponent to earn their points. John Paxson, eventually, he had to come off the bench because B.J. Armstrong was a better defender. And it's just like that. Ginobili, great offensive player, but he had to come off the bench, was a great 6-man. I think he eventually started down the road, but we need our best defenders. You're not going to get anything easy. Okay, you're going to shoot. Like I try to tell people, look, man, all these threes ain't going to work back then. It ain't going to work because these guys knew how to play defense. If you picked and popped, it was another dude right there in your mug. Remember Reggie Miller? This guy had to come off for like 4 screens, and then when he came off that screen, he still had a hand in his mug. It was crazy back then, man. Nothing was given. And then you gotta, look at the guys today. They can't be great defenders because the 4 guys are taking 3-point shots. So they're just like, well, go ahead and take the 3. If you hit, you hit. You miss, you miss. They ain't caring about no defense because nobody's, backing them up inside. Nobody's posting up. Nobody's really slashing to the basket as much. Doing pick and rolls to the basket that much. They might do a pick and pop. You see more pick and pops than pick and rolls to the basket. You don't see pick and rolls like that. Not as much as a pick and pop. So a lot of guys, they're deficient on defense because they've given up. Everybody's shooting threes. So they don't care. So Karl-Anthony Towns, I don't know what's wrong with Fat Joe, man. This guy don't know how to be fat, skinny. I don't know what's going on with this guy. A lot of people say he got rid of Big Pun, allegedly, but I'll leave that alone. He said that, remember that time he said that if the last album, I don't think it was the last album, but he was going against 50 Cent or something like that. Him and 50 had a beef or something like that. And he said if 50 outsells him on this record, he put out a record and 50 put out a record, and he said if 50 outsells him, he was going to retire from rap. Well, guess what? 50 outsold him. He never retired. He made some good songs, man. Lean Back. He was okay, man, but he just wasn't selling a lot. He made some good duets and stuff with Ashanti, and didn't he do one with J-Lo, I think? He made some pretty good music, but it really didn't sell that much. Reggaeton, that it was big back then for Spanish people. And I think he should have went that route. But he's one of the greats in hip hop. I ain't gonna knock him too bad. He got some pretty good music. But this guy's delusional. I don't know, man. Where these guys, maybe they get some money or something from the NBA, or Karl-Anthony Towns gave him some money. because nobody would say something this dumb. The greatest offensive player, as bad as Shaq was, like, as far as the repertoire and the all-around game, you gotta remember Shaq is just a center, man. He's not a 3-point specialist or nothing like that. Shoot the mid-range. But guys, who would take Karl-Anthony Towns over Shaq? Are you crazy? There's not too many guys that you would take over Shaquille O'Neal. It's just crazy, man. Whether it was Lakers Shaq or whether it was Orlando Shaq. And most of us know that we like Orlando Shaq better. Okay? He was more versatile. He rebounded better. He played defense better. He passed better. He just did a lot of things better. But nobody would take Karl-Anthony. I mean, if you go down the list of centers, all-time great, like, you wouldn't take Karl-Anthony Towns. You take Karl-Anthony Towns over Bill Russell? There's no way. There's no way. Bill Russell was twice more athletic than Karl-Anthony Towns, man. Come on. We shouldn't even have to go down the list of guys. That's what's so crazy, man. I can get some guys who, were borderline Hall of Fame guys that never made the Hall of Fame who were centers. I would take over Karl-Anthony Towns, man. This, again, in his own era. This guy's been in the league 10 years. Was on a third team All-NBA. Imagine how many centers would have made the third team if they had that around, the majority of the 80s, the 70s, the 60s. Come on, man. So the third team is like you're the last one out. It's a pity party. It's something you shouldn't even be making. They're going to have an All-NBA third team. They should have All-NBA defensive third team. How does that make any sense? I mean, I just don't understand how they would have that for All-NBA, but not the defensive team. And Carl, I can't talk about this no more. It's starting to hurt me, man. Is this guy really a center? What is he? They just got destroyed. Who was that? They just got destroyed by the Atlanta Hawks. And Fat Joe has the nerve to say this, folks. They just got destroyed. And I don't think Karl-Anthony Towns even broke 20 points. Brunson didn't. Karl-Anthony Towns didn't. Somebody else did it. That was a big shooter on their team or whatever like that. Come on, man. You just got beat by Atlanta. Trae Young was clowning you, bro. And then the game before that, we talked about this. This dude was front running. I think they beat Toronto. It wasn't an in-season tournament. It was like a regular season game. He was getting interviewed after the game. He was like, "We them boys." And I'm like, "Oh, you sound like you just got done playing a pickup game or something like that in the park. You screaming, 'You them boys that did what? What did you do? You won a regular season game. You screaming, 'You them boys.'" And on top of that, you cussing in the interview. You can't even act professional. These guys, man. I told you, man, it's cool. You can act a certain way when you're off camera. But, man, try to act professional, man. Try to act professional. It's the time you're going to be with your boys. You're going to be off camera. People go to work every day. They got to act a certain way. They got to act professional. When they get off of work, guess what? Well, or at least when they're in front of customers. Or when they're talking to customers. Or maybe you act, even a different way still around your boss. Whatever like that. Some people don't. But customer service, people definitely do. You could work at McDonald's, and that's customer service. You act in a certain way around customers. That's customer service. Just like when you're in that interview, guess who's seeing you? All the customers that's watching it on TV. All the fans out there in the arena. That's customer service, homie. These guys are shout out. That's why the NBA is going down, folks. That's why it's going down. These guys don't want to be like, man, we're messing up the game, man. This game is going to be NHL ratings non-existent, MLB ratings non-existent, because the fans don't want to see what we're doing, because it never existed in NBA history. 4 guys shooting a 3, and they don't even be like, man, we need to check. Well, that's what's so crazy. How could guys be getting paid all this money, and they saying, man, if we don't change this, man, we ain't gonna be getting paid nothing. Well, I said, I don't believe these guys making this money. Joel Embiid, this guy is a clown. He's a clown act. He's a scumbag. I told you guys way before he went to the Olympic team, why is he playing in the Olympics? Why was AD playing in the Olympics? Why was LeBron James playing in the Olympics, right? They're all injury prone. LeBron James is 40 years old, right? Trying to play against young guys to try to prove something. And what did they prove? They proved nothing. They proved that they could barely beat a rookie Wemby and a slow-footed Rudy Gobert. What did that prove, guys? With that team that they had? Well, it didn't prove nothing. It proved that they could barely win, and then they try to shove it into your face. Oh, man, the world catching up to us, man. But, yeah, this team is better than the 92 Dream Team, man. And I told you guys why they were saying that, because if they lost or barely win, they would be like, see, we told you. We told you. The world caught up to us. But it's the most ridiculous thing you ever heard, right? Because if you say you're way better than the Dream Team and you'll smoke them, now we got to say, okay, let's put the Dream Team against South Sudan. Nobody knows who the hell they are. Let's put them against Serbia with only Joker on there. Let's put them against, who was that other team? Was another team too. Let's put them against France with slow-footed Rudy Gobert and rookie Wemby. So when we put that Dream Team against those teams I just mentioned, you're trying to tell me the Dream Team, 92 Dream Team, is going to struggle to beat them and need clutch shots down the stretch to beat them? David Robinson, Karl Malone, John Stockton, Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson. Who am I missing? I think Bird was on the team. Clyde Drexler, Charles Barkley. All those guys are going to need clutch shots down the stretch to beat those teams, to barely beat those teams. They're going You guys got to stop, man. You got to stop. But what that Olympic team did this year is they embarrassed NBA basketball. They embarrassed American basketball in the history of the NBA. That's what they did. They embarrassed themselves. They should have gave that gold to France, because they did not deserve that gold, man. They didn't deserve it. They didn't deserve it. For what? They didn't deserve silver. And I would say they barely deserve bronze. They got put in the weakest group pool there was, right? All the good teams, except for the United States, played in Group A. All the second best teams played in Group B. And basically the worst teams played in Group C, right? Don't tell me how good Serbia was. Joker was the only really good player on that team. And they barely came out that. They had to play the weakest, they had to play their way through the weakest group pool. And then after they played the guys in Group C, they had to play B, which was the second weakest. And then they got the A, folks. So they basically embarrassed themselves. They basically got the handicap. Only in the LeBron James era, folks. Only in the LeBron James era, this would happen. They didn't take the challenge. They didn't say, oh, yeah, we're better than the Dream Team. Watch this. We'll go to Group A. They didn't say that, folks. They didn't say that. We're going to show that we're better than the Dream Team, and we're going to go to Group A with the best teams, because we're one of the best teams, if not the best team. Nope. They went to Group C, and it was barely the worst group pool, and they barely won in Group C. So again, why, if Joel Embiid was coming off an injury, why was he playing? Why did he go to the Olympics? He was coming off an injury in the regular season, hobbled into the playoffs, and was hobbling around. And then it was a miracle. He was doing business in the Olympics. I mean, he was get booed, but he was doing business in the Olympics. He wasn't hobbling. Did y'all see that? Didn't look like that was wrong with him. Maybe LeBron gave him some LeBron juice. I don't know. Right? LeBron, 21 seasons, running the NBA. We keep trying to tell you. Somebody's going to have to tell us. This guy, 21 seasons in the NBA. All the regular season games, all the playoff games, all the finals games, the FIBA games, and the Olympic games. How is he still running the court? So he just got special legs that nobody has, right? Because Michael Jordan, y'all say, oh man, he took a rest. Man, that man's first three-peat, he was out of gas. You can see it. That second three-peat, I'm talking about, man, he was barely hanging on. Even though he kept saying he was going to come back. He was barely hanging on, folks. And then when he came back again, even though they took longer off, it wasn't the same Michael Jordan, even though he was playing 82 games. So I don't see where the rest was for Michael Jordan. And he was barely making it. So LeBron James naturally is the only one that can defy Father Time. And we know it's a weak, soft era, and we know that he low manages and all that stuff, but still 22 seasons like that with all these playoffs, all these FIBAs, all this stuff. You could take Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, right? He wasn't going to all these playoff games in the 70s, right? He wasn't doing that. And the game wasn't fast-paced like that. He wasn't going to all them FIBAs and the Olympics and all those different things. Yes, he did a lot of regular season, a lot of playoffs in the 80s and stuff like that, in finals. But no, LeBron James has hit a stride that nobody can figure out. Or maybe he's taking a break now. They say he's game time decision today. We'll see what happens. We all knew what was going to happen, man. This guy just went in there for that goal, and he was going to, load manage this year. Joel Embiid, this guy's going to fake injuries. I don't see how these guys basically stealing all this money. You got to give it to them. If they're making this money. I told you I don't believe these guys are making this kind of money. When they retire, they go back to work. They got to read off a teleprompter. They got to go DJ. They got to go podcast. They got to go coach. They got to do all this stuff after making hundreds of millions, tens of millions in their career, folks. Endorsements and all this stuff. They still got to go back to work. It's pretty crazy, man. We dream. We say, man, if I ever hit that lottery, man, just, a couple million, man. That 5 million or that 50 million, man. I'd never work again, man. Well, guess what? These guys already hit the lottery, and they got to go back to work, folks. That's what they're trying to tell you. They're trying to tell you these guys make all this money, but when they retire from 13 years, 14 years, they got to go. Vince Carter goes back to work. I just seen him on TV the other day. He's back at work, man. He made over $100 million or more than that in his career. He's back at work, man. Perk made close to $100 million. He's at work. He said one day, he said, man, ain't nobody going to take my ESPN job. Perk, I thought you made tens of millions of dollars and you want to sit up on the desk like the big dummy you are. How much can they really pay you compared to how much you supposedly made tens of millions? That makes no sense. You couldn't get me out of the damn chair to talk or do nothing if I had tens of millions of dollars. The most I could do is probably own a business, something like that. Invest in stocks and bonds. Ain't no damn way I'm going to get up and work and put on makeup and read off a damn teleprompter and podcast and go DJ and do all this stuff if I made all this money. That's why I don't believe they made this kind of money. You can believe it if you want. That's up to you folks. Probably a reason why these guys act the way they do, especially in this era right here, because they ain't making the money. And how can you make the money when nobody's watching this crap? Nobody's watching it. Nobody's buying the merch like they used to. Nobody's watching it. It doesn't warrant them making this kind of money. The business is failing. So you guys tell me what you think.